Let's talk about breakups. So, I this video is a requested video, and breakups hurt, right? And this is coming from a guy who used to really, really, really suffer from badly from a breakup, and so to be honest, this video is kind of like the advice that I wish I had when I was going through a breakup. Now, when I have the wisdom that I have today, and I reflect back on the breakup that I had before, I think about this. What makes a breakup hurt so bad? Is it the times you spent together? Is it the intensity of the relationship regardless of the time? Is it a combination? Is it your compatibility? Is it the shared number of memories that you have together? So basically, if all you did together is watch Netflix, then is there not that much to go off of compared to a person who traveled the world together? So there's a lot of variables at play, right? But when we really sit down and think about what makes a breakup hurt so badly, you will, I hope, naturally come to the conclusion that breakups tend to hurt the more I want the other person. So, if the relationship went on for years, right? But then, you weren't that emotionally invested in it, then chances are you go through a breakup, but it's like, it was coming. And a lot of people want to break up but don't have the nerve to break up, right? They don't have like the guts to pull the trigger, so to speak. Sorry for the violent language, but that is kind of the case, and this actually leads to a great secondary point. If you're not all that invested in the relationship, then it doesn't really hurt. But also, breakups don't have to hurt, right? Okay, because a lot of people don't share the same amount of commitment into the relationship, right? There's that common saying of like, oh, guys, they don't like to commit to stuff and blah blah blah. Okay, so it's possible that two people participating in the same relationship have very different degrees of commitment to it, and therefore one person is likely to hurt more, one person is likely to hurt less. Okay, but even this, right? Even this has a heavy assumption, in my opinion. And that assumption is when you deeply love someone, it is impossible not to be hurt when you break up with them. And I think if you want to learn something about love in a relationship and in a breakup, that is the paradox that really needs to be solved. What if it's possible for you to love someone so deeply, but part ways with them in a really amicable way, right? The only reason why breakups hurt so badly is because you want to control the other person, but you can't. It's a it's a matter of suffering because the world won't abide by your rules. So we like to call that love, right? We like to think that, oh, it's because I want you so much, because I love you so much. But in fact, since it is possible to love someone so much, break up with them, and be happy, go through a happy breakup, since that is definitely possible, regardless of how unimaginable that may feel to you today and right now, since a happy breakup is possible with a lot of love, it is something outside of love that causes the hurt in a breakup. So I'm saying the same thing multiple times in a different phrasing so that it makes a little bit more sense every time I say it. So, oh, when you're crying in your room, right? And when you're listening to the songs that make you sad, why are you sad? You're sad because you want the other person. But the other person, you don't they're still there, right? Or you may have parted because the other person has sadly passed away, right? In which case, I know this sounds extremely insensitive, but I'm only saying this because I want you to part from the suffering, right? I don't want you to be in pain because of this wonderful thing called love. Love is supposed to make you happy. Love is supposed to be a value addition to your life, especially if your beloved one has departed. They didn't die to make you sad, right? They died because their time on this time on this earth has simply ran out. They didn't intentionally die to make you unhappy and have you suffer. In order to truly celebrate the other person, you want to be happy because of them. You want to be happy because you got to experience the love when you could have not experienced the love, right? That's the positive way of looking at things. There's a reality in which you never met your significant other and your life is so much worse because of it, because you don't know how beautiful life could have been with love in your life, right? So it's a good thing that you experienced the love. Okay, then it came to an end. So you're sad. Why? Because you wanted to continue, right? But the thing is, again, the person you broke up is either not with you anymore physically, or they're still here on this earth. So you could continue loving this other person. But what do you actually really want? You want them to change their mind, right? You want them to fit into your mold of an expectation. You want something that is outside of your control. There's nothing wrong with loving someone. There's nothing wrong with continuing to love someone after the relationship has ended. And I would say that's the, I think, best way to go about things. Because what is the use in hating them? What is the use in resenting them? What is the use in wanting them to be a certain way when they're not going to play your game, right? So, in order to have a happy breakup, you need to have the differentiation between love, which is acknowledging this person has a freedom of will and can do whatever they want, and they don't need to do anything. They don't need to change anything about them, right? Suppose you're still in the relationship. If you only love this person when they have long hair, and when they don't shave and they have a nice beard, or when they, do something that you like, wear your favorite dress, and you don't like it when the other person does, things that they want to do, is that really love? It's just more like a controlling relationship, right? But we're really not willing to acknowledge our role in causing our unhappiness. We tend to think it's because the other person left. No, the other person left. Well, what the fuck is... Well, why does that matter? You can continue to love the person because that person, before they met you, after they met you, after they left you, they still have the freedom of choice to do whatever the fuck they want to do with their life, right? But we lose sight of that. Why? Because when we are in a relationship, right? When we enter into one, we see, because we spend so much time as separate entities, we are able to acknowledge that we are separate beings. But the more we love someone, this is basic human psychology, right? The more we tend to identify them as us. So the more the identities kind of like merge into one, right? That's why you get disappointed when the other person is, when you're deep in a relationship, when the other person doesn't act the way you want to. That's why it stings so bad. Because it feels like it's you, but you're not listening to yourself. But that's a psychological trick that your brain likes to play because, our brains have cognitive biases, right? So, I rambled on a lot of different things. But the primary point is this: to have a happy breakup, you have to understand what love is and how that is different from an obsessive desire. And when you can separate the desire from the love, loving the other person doesn't hurt at all. And the more you look at love in this way, the more you're going to be able to tell. You're going to think of the other person and you're going to be happy regardless of where they are. They had their little habits of how they smiled with one, lip a little bit higher, and how their eyes, twinkled when they talked about their favorite things, and when how they walked a little bit sillily when they got drunk. Okay, you have those memories. Those are beautiful memories for you to keep, right? And the way they act, it's still a beautiful thing to behold in your eyes. And you're gonna remember how much you want it right here, right now. You want it whenever you want it. And when that petulant side of you emerges, you're gonna notice that it immediately starts hurting. You're going to be able to more clearly see that this is the cause for the suffering, not the breakup. The love, the memories, everything. It exists to make your life more colorful. It exists to make your life more beautiful. Breakups are not supposed to hurt. But it is our obsessive desire to keep things. You want that other person to not die. You want that person, suppose they had passed away from a big injury. You want them to continue living with the injury just so they can be with you, right? So you have to see the line of logic that makes this obsessive desire ridiculous. And you have to see reality for what it is. Humans change. Interests change. Romantic relationships can change. Life can end. And the more you appreciate that, the more the next time your next rendition of romance comes, the more you can appreciate it in the moment. And that is what makes love so precious. And through that experience, you learn every single life is so precious. And you see that you are one with the world. I think that is the ultimate goal of love, right? To finally open our eyes to the fact that we are not this isolated entities. I love you. And as much as I love you, I love me. And as much as I love you, everyone else is also you. We are all this interconnected being. That is what true love allows us to see. If we are able to successfully break away from the delusion of desire, of control and lust, and I want you to do this despite I don't care about your free will, I want you to be a puppet. I want you to show up here. I want you to tell me you're sorry you broke up with me. I want you to, even no matter how difficult your life is, I want you to always keep me around because I need to be the number one priority in your life. You have to see the ridiculousness in that line of thought if you want